Hello everybody, my name is Riley. You may know me as Honey Rags. Unlike my other videos that are reseller related, this one is going to be a little bit different. As you can tell, I'm sitting on my floor, so it's not the most professional video I've ever taken. I had a lot of people asking me to upload a haul video of this recent huge lot of estate jewelry that I bought, and I really didn't have a plan or an idea of how I was going to make this haul video because there's so much jewelry. So I thought while I was sorting through it, I could just quickly show you guys some of my favorite pieces because there's just way too much to go through. So if that's not something you're interested in, there are plenty of other videos on my channel that are reseller related, but this one is really just about this lot of jewelry. And if you know something that I don't, feel free to correct me down below in the comments. You can see there are just bags and like layers, like just pounds of jewelry. Oh, some of this is coming out. And the lady that I bought it from, she was really open and honest. This was her mother's and her mother's mother's. A lot of it was stuff that had been in the family and been passed down. A lot of it was things that her mother had collected. She told me that her mother did a lot of traveling and acquired lots of jewelry, and kind of made it seem like her mom had a spending problem, but she never said it in like a negative way. So luckily for me, there are a few pieces that, you know, are labeled like with the country of origin, and that helps a lot with as far as researching. She was honest. She said some of this is from before the 1920s. Some of it is well up into like the 50s and even 60s. She said she tried to put a general date on it as best as possible. This is just labeled stick pin. I'm not quite sure what the use of this thing would be for. A lot of the things that I was looking through are just so hard for me to date. I'm not a vintage jewelry expert by any means. I do believe these very lightweight plastic, I think this is Bakelite, so I think this stuff would be from like the 40s or 50s. There's a lot of it. This from the back, like this brooch pin, looks old, but the front looks very, very nice. I think this would be something maybe from like the 30s. They were really into that whole Hollywood theme. I could be wrong. Like I said, I'm definitely not an expert. A lot of these pieces, like these drop earrings, remind me of something from like the 20s. Well, I guess this isn't the most 20s looking set that I could use as an example, but in the 20s, they didn't really use gold. They used silver and white gold. So I think these are maybe 30s or 40s. This is just an enamel pin, and the enamel pins seem like they do pretty well. This one's marked Austria. Yeah, so this one, like these drop earrings, are extremely heavy, and these are actually glass, not like fake crystal plastic that you would see today. And you can tell by like the screw back earrings, whatever these are called, that they're just older. I don't really know how to date these ones either. There are a lot of these glass bead necklaces. You can tell it's glass. For one, the sound it makes, like when you click it up against something. For two, the weight. And for three, glass stays pretty cold when it's in your hand. It doesn't really warm up as fast as plastic. She also told me there was a lot of mourning jewelry that was made with human hair of the deceased, but she actually held on to that for the sake of her family's history, I guess. This is a hand-carved mother of pearl pin. Some of these bracelets, I'm just overwhelmed with the detail in them. And luckily, I can kind of date some of them just by looking at the clasp and the hardware. Some of them really just baffle me. You know, like this one, she actually put 1920s, so I don't know how she completely knows that. But, you can definitely tell she cared about all of the jewelry. It was just probably something that was overwhelming for her. I mean, she picked out like all of the precious metals, all of the precious jewels and diamonds and stuff like that. She picked out. There are some pieces in here that are, this is like a double with little cherubs. This is like a double brooch that turns into one, maybe a scarf clip or a dress clip. I don't know. There's also a lot of hand-carved items in here. This just says like antique pin. I don't really know how to date this stuff. Oh, this is one of my favorite pieces. So this is actually a choker. And this looks like celluloid. It feels and looks like celluloid, which is like a really early type of plastic. And I believe this would be from like the 1920s. Flapper necklaces were really, I mean, if you think of like the Great Gatsby, you think of a flapper necklace that's super long. But I think chokers came in for a little while too. And I don't know. I just feel like the choker is older. I could totally be wrong, and I definitely need to do more research, but this is just a necklace. This one's one of my favorites. It's this is all glass beading, and a lot of these necklaces have a barrel and tube clasp. So I can kind of date them from that. And a lot of these brooches that look like something that you could buy for like $1 today, but like you turn around and you see all the detail that was put into them. You know, that makes them special. There are also a lot of things that still have the original packaging. I have a lot of these bar pins, like a lot. So I don't know if I'm going to sell those as a lot or not. And you guys see all these prices. I didn't pay this price at all. I just bought it all off of her. And there are a few pieces in here where the pendant is like authentic, but the chain has been replaced. And I can just tell by looking at them, obviously. There's also a lot of pearl strands in here, which have never really gone out of style. I think this is just a dress clip. Now, yeah, like I said, a lot of these pieces actually reminded me of something from like the 20s, but they're gold, and I don't think gold was popular in the 20s, like I said. So obviously I'm not an expert, but, and there are a lot in here that is from like the 50s and probably 60s, and I'm still okay with that because even 50s and 60s costume jewelry can sell pretty well depending on the piece. This was all like hand beaded. This is a clip as well. There's just so much to go through. Like this throws me off. It's a belt. I'm gonna show you guys because I'm so confused because it just seems like the setting of the belt is newer. I don't know. I don't know. This one's one of my favorites too. These are glass beads with the little pearls. This is also a choker necklace with glass beads. Yeah, so all of these beads are glass beads. I think I went through almost everything that had beads to see if the beads were plastic, and they were all glass. This is another enamel. I think this is it's like a scarf slide. I don't know, scarf jewel. And then they're just like bags of these old bar pins. This, something called a doctor dress clip, which I think you'd put on like each end of your collar. This one's pretty cool just because it has some crazy looking samurai guy or something on it, and it's actually marked Japan on the back. But yeah, like this is actually a belt. So this one threw me off too. It's just like a really long chain belt. I don't know how to date these. Just so many glass beads. This one's really awesome. It has like a hidden compartment. Like you pull out this little thing right here, and there's like a hidden compartment where you'd keep like, I don't know. What would you keep in there? It's so thin and tight. Like this belt, she said it was hand painted, and it's marked sterling, so it just says sterling. That's all it says. This bracelet I love, and it actually has a hand-carved cameo on it, which is super exciting. What did that say? Old tied together. Yeah, see, all this says is old tied together. There are just a lot of crazy looking things in here, like these little cherub people made out of pewter. This is like an old flapper necklace as well. It's super long, and then it has the tassels. So this one says that rope necklace 1920 flapper. So I didn't even know they made this kind of like intricate beadwork in the 20s. Here's more of that like Bakelite stuff that I was telling you guys about. And then this one is the one that gets me the most. And what I mean by gets me is I'm so confused. So it's a really long, I shouldn't say really long, it's a belt. And when I first looked at it, I was like, oh my gosh, this is, I mean, it's so heavy and so intricately done and made, but it has no markings. I'm like, oh, this is like so old and cool. You know me, like I don't know that much about vintage jewelry, But then I realized as I put it around myself that it's a middle waist belt. And what I mean by middle waist is it doesn't fall below the waist. It's so thin that it would probably have to go at someone's middle waist. And like in the 20s, you know, they had that flat silhouette and the waistline was dropped far below the natural waistline of today. So it's definitely not from that era. So then I got to looking around at vintage metal belts and I could just hardly find any information. So I'm like, well, when is this from? Is this from the 60s? I mean, is it from the 70s? Is it from the 30s? It just baffles my mind. I don't know when this is from. There's no markings. So a lot of this stuff, I don't even know where to start. So it was an overwhelming investment just because it's something that I don't want to say I'm not comfortable with, because I am comfortable with it. But there's a lot that I don't know, and that gray area is kind of scary. But she also gave me a couple of these Cameo Collections. Unfortunately, some of them are fake. These Cameo earrings are real. And this is another thing. These are clip earrings, which these clip earrings I didn't think were around until like the 40s or 50s. So although they're real, they're not like Victorian or, you know, Edwardian even. Then there's like this reverse cameo thing, which I don't think this is really that old. But anyway, she had a few of these hand-painted cameos. But then there are some authentic cameos that were hand-carved, like these are hand-carved little cameo earrings. These are hand-carved cameo earrings. And then there's also hand-painted cameo that are marked Limoges, France. So, but yeah, like these ones are very clearly fake. This feels like just Bakelite plastic, honestly. This feels like Bakelite plastic, but so although they're organized like by Cameo, these ones I think she said these ones aren't. There's a couple in here that are really intricately hand painted and chipped, you can tell. But anyway, so there are some pieces that I'm just like, what is this? It's so eclectic, and it's definitely quite the collection. But I bought a couple of Sterilite storage tubs that I'm going to try to organize my best by decade. And like I said, if you guys know something that I don't, feel free to drop a comment down below letting me know any info that you may have. And as always, happy selling. And if you guys want more reseller related content in the future, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and follow me on Instagram. My name is honey.rags.